So this video is to accompany Sal the Roloway Monkey, and I'm mainly going to cover the actual finishing of the head and the sewing up of that head. So when you're creating the head, what's really unusual about this one is that you're making a back of the head, and that's got lots of complex colour changing in, and that's what really characterises this design, is the fact that you're using lots of different colours in these almost geometric blocks of colour. So with your head, you've started in your steel at the back, you've got cream, you've got charcoal, and then you're going to actually be making a separate muzzle that we sew into place. So you've got two pieces like that. What you need to do is stuff the back of the head. And fasten that off. And then you're going to need to put a little bit of stuffing in the front of the muzzle. And with the rows facing upwards, and these were the rows where you turned backwards and forwards to create those rows at the top, we're going to sew the muzzle into position just below this colour change line here. So you've got a line of cream there. Line your rows up and make sure that it's in the middle. So if you look at this, you've obviously got your rows right the way from there to there. Make sure that that cream section going into that charcoal section is in the centre of that panel like that, and then sew that into place. Like that. And then using a cream length of yarn, we're then going to sew the bottom of the muzzle to hide all of that charcoal. So your cream will be sewn all the way around there, hiding that colour change, but it will be much easier to do with a cream length of yarn. So rejoin a length of cream. Now what I'm going to do now is actually stuff the body and sew my head into place on my body before I then go on to working all the extra detail that runs right the way around that muzzle and the beard that comes off the bottom. So gather the top, and then finding the central line down the middle of the panel there, down the front of the face, you want to sew the head into position like that. And that means that your steel will meet on the back like that. So I'm going to use my cream yarn to sew it in place on the front. And to get the neatest finish, I might even want to rejoin some steel so I can do the stitches between the steel panels using steel. So I'm going to leave my cream on like that. So then when it comes to working the detail around the face, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start here as a right-handed crocheter, and I'm going to work these small triangles all the way around the edge of here. Now, starting here as a right-handed crocheter and working that way around means that they will be wrong side facing the top. So that's what makes them curl downwards like that. If you are a left-handed crocheter, then you're going to want to start on the other side and go the other way around. And that way you'll guarantee that the triangles are wrong side facing the top, so they curve downwards. I'll explain more what I mean in a second. So slip stitch into position with your cream. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then we're going to slip stitch 1, and then half treble the second one down that chain. In a half treble, we go yarn round hook first, in, yarn over, and then through all 3 loops in one motion. So that is a half treble. So what you've done is you've made a small triangle. Then you miss a stitch, and then you slip stitch into that next one like that. And then the same thing again. So 1, 2, 3, half treble into that first chain. Should I say slip stitch into that first chain, and then half treble into the second chain. Miss one, and then slip stitch back along, and you just go right the way around that colour change doing that. So having gone all the way around the outside of the muzzle like that, what we're going to do next is we're actually going to go down the back of the head and down onto the colour change line in that cream panel on the top of the body. So I'm going in exactly the same way, doing exactly what we were doing before, but making sure this time that they turn upwards, so that you've got your wrong side facing forwards on the front of your muzzle, and then the same thing, we've got to make sure that our wrong side is facing outwards on this side. So as a right-handed crochet, again, I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the body and work that way. And then I'll start from the top of the head on that side and work downwards. As a left-handed crochet, you'll have to go the other way around. So then once you've completed going down that headline, just head straight on to the body in a continuous piece. So there's no need to break yarn in between, just head on using the same technique, putting the triangles in, and jump straight from your last one on the head into going into that colour change line again in the same way on the body. Then once you reach that corner where all the colours collide, so where you've got your charcoal, your cream and your steel, break your yarn. And then to keep them going the same way, so I know that I seem to talk about right side and the wrong side a lot with this one, but it'll mean that your monkey will be symmetrical on both sides. So what I've done is from the top of the head downwards right the way along that line in one motion, and then what I'll do is turn that upside down. And rather than starting from the top of the head again, this time round, go up the body from the bottom upwards, so that then they'll be the same side. So once you've completed by going all the way around the edge, now it's time for one final big triangle, and that's what will create that absolute characteristic beard of this type of monkey. So what we need to do, let's talk about right side and wrong side again quickly. So what you want is your wrong side of your stitches facing outwards, and that will curve it under. Now again, as a right-handed crocheter, that means that I need to slip stitch in on this side here, chain up and then work back down those stitches. as a left-handed crocheter, you're going to want to slip stitch on the other side of the chin. So slip stitch into position like that, and you'll have a gap in between that it should fit in if you join to the corners effectively of that colour change on the muzzle. So slip into place, chain 11, and now we're going to do all of the stitches. So this is a nice handy video for anyone wanting to learn all the different lengths of British term crochet stitch. So first we're going to slip 2. So in the chain and slip 1 and then slip a second one. Then we're going to double crochet 2. So in the next chain hole, yarn over to the point where you've got 2 loops, through 1. So the same thing again. Then on to the next one, that's a half treble. So a half treble, we're going to go yarn round hook first, go in the stitch, yarn over. You'll have 3 loops on your hook and you yarn over again and you come through all 3 in one motion. So that's your half treble, so 2 of those. Then on to your treble. So with your treble, you yarn round hook, you go in the stitch and yarn over to 3 loops in the same way as your half treble. But this time you yarn over and you come through the first 2 only before you yarn over and come through the second 2. So that is 1 treble. Then I'm going to do a second treble, then a double treble. So these are the longest, most open stitches, very rarely used on this style of crochet. So first we're going to be doing our double treble. So you go yarn around the hook once, like we have done with the treble, but because it's a double treble, we go round again. So twice round the hook, in the stitch, yarn over. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook and take them off 2 at a time. So yarn over and through 2, yarn over and through 2, yarn over and through the last 2. So that's a double treble. And then finally, a triple treble will be 3 of those. So round once for a treble, twice for a double treble, 3 times for a triple treble, in the stitch, and then do exactly the same method of yarn over and through. So this time you're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just take them off in 2s. So yarn over through 2, yarn over through the next 2, yarn over through that 2, and then yarn over and through the last 2, and that creates the longest stitch. So what we've done is we've made a big triangle by using all the different lengths of stitches, and then all you need to do is slip stitch across into the other side like that. That'll fix that triangular beard in place. Break your yarn, and then it's just time to sew in all the ends. So that's how you do that finishing detail on what is a really unusual design. Lots of geometric colour changing. Do watch the colour change video separately. So if you're someone who is new to colour changing, it's really important that you're doing the colour change in the correct method to get this to work. So go and recap with that video. But I hope that will really help when putting together those final details around that face. Just time now to sew on my legs, sew on my tail and put my ears in place.